Good morning, everyone. We are getting IG on. Also, is this where I can see it? And then get comfortable and hold up for the morning. Let's go ahead and start it. Yay, now it's working. Let's hit this record button. Good morning. We are live, hopefully, on all platforms. This morning, I am definitely bringing a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Good morning. So, my name is Dr. Z, also known as Dr. Z Gross. We are jumping on here live this morning for today's topic of procrastination versus perfectionism, and vice versa. Part of this topic being today's topic also comes from, if you've been following me, you would totally know that this week I am supporting, by the time you see this, it may or may not have already passed, but I am supporting the procrastination coach. Good morning, with her productivity boot camp this week. And I figured, why not share some more information about perfectionism versus procrastination and kind of identifying what's different, what's the same, and how can you tell if you're doing one or the other? So typically there's an assumption, if you're avoiding something and you're not doing it, or you have a deadline to meet and something that needs to be happening, that when you don't do it, you're just procrastinating and you're a procrastinator and you don't do what you're supposed to do. And usually it comes with a whole bunch of negative additional talks that come with that. But I'm wondering if you've ever given yourself a chance to notice those things that you procrastinate on. Why are you procrastinating on them? Because when you really like something and enjoy it, typically you jump and you do it immediately. When you see the person that you're like, I wish I would let this person out of my life, you make sure to do everything and you don't typically waste any time doing it. When you find a new food, a new place, a new outfit, like whatever those things are, we typically don't wait or procrastinate on those. We immediately go for it and go get it. But I'd like to challenge you to look at procrastination as maybe an indicator that something still needs to change or be different before you engage in whatever it is that you're doing next. So what that can look like is there's a project that needs to be done. And say you still work a traditional job, because not all of us are working for ourselves or creating our own schedules in its entirety, at least not yet. And you know that there's a deadline you have to meet every single week or every month or every quarter for a particular report. For whatever reason, you always wait to the last minute to get this done. It isn't inherently a problem that you wait to the last minute, except that it tends to create a huge amount of stress, anxiety, and pressure that you've even started to tell yourself, I work best under pressure, so I need a lot of pressure so that I can get it done or do it the right way. What if you actually don't need a lot of pressure to do it? What if that's really just letting you know you have no desire to do that particular task, despite how good or easy it is for you, because you just don't like it? What if your procrastination is giving you blatant red flags to things that you are not interested in doing, seeing, saying, being in certain places, like all of the things? And yet you still keep showing up for it. And then you keep historically experiencing this sense of this cycle of, I'm going to wait till the last minute. I work better under pressure. I still have more time. Hence, if you give yourself a month to do something that really only takes a day, and other people have said it, I am not saying something brand new, but you will take a whole month to do it if you give yourself a deadline of a month versus a day. Hence, that whole entire 29 days before the 30th day, you probably procrastinated. You knew you could have gotten it done. And for whatever reason, you made the executive decision that yeah, you got 30 days, so I'm gonna wait all 30 days. And then you got down to the 23rd hour of doing the thing because it really wasn't that deep, but you also weren't interested. Excuse me. So procrastination, believe it or not, could be leading you towards, give me one quick second. All right, clearly I probably should have some of my tea this morning. I'm trying a new one too, just FYI. Trying a mushroom latte and seeing how this one goes. Um, there's definitely one I used to try, and I'm sure that's probably super loud in the microphone. But back to this whole procrastination and it maybe being an indicator of some red flags. In this moment, especially anybody that's listening in the live audience, I challenge you to just think of a time, the last time you had something that you totally put off. It might have been laundry. It could have been unpacking from a trip. It could be anything. But the last time that you had this thing that was kind of like, you probably should do it, and you're just not. What were some of the reasons or things that kind of came to your mind, or what did you do instead of the thing? I'll give you guys just a quick second. I've totally got examples, but just in case you guys have some. It tastes all right. It works. Good morning from IG. Well, just to keep us flowing and moving this morning, I can tell you my experience. I've been traveling like last month, celebrating birthdays and doing the things. And my suitcase is still not packed. It's still not unpacked. Hence, those dirty clothes, clean clothes, all of them are still in the suitcase. The suitcase has been opened, so there's air circulating. But and this kind of leads into perfectionism in a sense. But the suitcase is still packed. I walk right around it every single day because I don't want to put that stuff up. I am holding off and procrastinating on it because putting those things up means I'm officially all the way back, despite it being a couple of weeks, despite the fact that I need to pack for next week to go out of town again. Me not putting it up and choosing to do anything other than that. I like redid my bed. I cleaned the bathroom, cleaned the living room, like did some laundry, but have not touched the suitcase. There is something about this particular task that I definitely probably need to dig into and do some work behind, but this is something that happens regular for me. This is a routine. This is a pattern that I tend to procrastinate when it comes to putting clothes up. And I'm sure my parents would say, well, you've been doing that your whole life, which is not inaccurate. That is true. And at the same time, leading into perfectionism, as a younger child, as a child, a teenager, and then even sometimes as an adult. I've also moved into a space specifically around clothes of trying to not have things be perfect, but they were perfect for me. What that looks like is I may have had piles and stacks of clothes for different things and different reasons, but I was fully aware of what was in each stack and each pile. I left them there for particular reasons. Mostly, I didn't feel like putting them up. That's at least one reason. So the procrastination of I'm going to have to stop and sit down and put all these things up, which also means I'm going to have to look at, do I still need all these clothes? Can I wear them all? Will I wear them all? Like all the things. I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want it to happen. This is the procrastination. The red flag is me not wanting to address what needs to be done, me not wanting to move forward and do what I know needs to happen so that I can actually have space and a little more freedom and be clearer on what I do have access to clothing wise. The perfectionism comes in if someone came into my room and started moving the stuff and doing things with it, it would disrupt the organized chaos that I've created. I have found a way or method and consistently seem to keep restructuring it where my chaos for me seems organized. I'm familiar with where things are. I'm also totally aware of and definitely share with clients on all platforms, whether it's therapy, coaching, how what your environment looks like makes a huge impact on what you have the capacity to do. If you are moving in a space of procrastination and perfectionism, what you may find is that a lot of times there are certain areas where you will be hyper vigilant in ensuring that a particular task or thing is done in this specific way. Even if it doesn't seem to make sense or is actually disruptive to you, you still will show up and have it be done in that particular way, because that's what works for you. Your organized chaos allows you to experience a sense of perfectionism, and that you're able to have it be exactly how you want it to be so that you can do what you want to do with it, when and how and wherever that looks like. This can also start to roll over into when you're doing work, the relationships you have with different people, that you find yourself not wanting to show up if you can't show up 100%. There have been tons of mornings right before this tea talk. I promise you, what if you had seen what happened all before physically showing up and getting here, you'd be like, somebody's doing a whole lot to try to make things seem perfect and in place, instead of acknowledging the level of procrastination that took place beforehand, that then required an over delivering because of not having taken the time sooner. So just to kind of run that back over again, there is this space where you could be showing up and having things be perfect, or a perfect presentation for the world and everyone else, because your process of getting to that point came out of procrastination. You maybe didn't give yourself enough time or didn't use the time efficiently. Hence, everything kind of ties back around the time at some point. But when you're not able to accurately account for the amount of time you need to do different things, you do find yourself in a space of, unfortunately, procrastinating on other things and creating this cycle where you are constantly trying to play catch up. Constantly trying to, you always have a backlog of things that could be done. This is kind of like, for some couples, the honey-do list. There's always a list of stuff that someone could be doing to make the house better, to do the things. But with this constant backlog, there's a procrastination towards getting to it, because chances are you don't want to do it. Hence, procrastination can be a leader or an indicator of a red flag. When you find yourself not wanting to make a call or spend time with a particular person, that hesitation that's coming up, there may be something else to explore or look into. Good morning. Like, there just may be something else there, which is the reason why you're like, why am I so hesitant on contacting them, hanging out with them, spending time with them, following through on the commitments that you've made? That eventually, once you decide, yes, I'm going to do it, then you want it to be perfect and right, which creates this sense of like fury that you're functioning and working in. And you're like, as fast as possible, trying to make things happen now and move in a way that would allow you to then show up as the most perfect version of you, or deliver the most perfect product or experience to whomever is attempting to show up with you, because of this cycle of perfectionism and procrastination. What would it look like if we gave ourselves permission to recognize the procrastination and really deep dive? As much as you can't do this all freaking day long, like there are just things that have to be done. But for bigger projects or tasks or jobs or relationships or things that you're willing to engage in and take on, exploring a little bit deeper, like, what is the hesitation? There must be something that's still missing that maybe you need answers to, that would allow you to move forward with it in a sense and in a space that really works for you, instead of procrastinating to the very last minute and then still trying to figure out how to make everything perfect, when perfect would have required more time. You creating this heightened standard for yourself creates more angst, more anxiety, more stress on what the production of what you're going to present looks like. And then further creating a space of, well, maybe I just don't want to do it. Hence taking even more time to get into action and get moving. anyone that is out there in the audience, I'm just curious. Does any of this sound like a thing that maybe you've experienced? Maybe you know a little bit of what I'm talking about, but just the space of you wanting things to be so right and so perfect that you feel paralyzed. That in that paralyzation of wanting things to be perfect and right, you then move into a space of doing nothing and then having to do everything really fast and not even really being able to get help because you need it to already be done because you're creating a backlog of things to do, people to see, places to go, and you just need it to all move forward and you still want it to be perfect. But you also removed the time available to have it be in a way that you want it to be. You don't have to air all your dirty laundry out here on social media, but just hearing this concept of perfectionism versus procrastination and how they, one, can cycle into each other, two, it can also be very different, and three, really be giving you some good indicators as to what's happening and what's going on for you, or the need to explore a little bit deeper as to what is going on. Is this a pattern or a way that I want to keep showing up? Or do I need to make some changes and seek some help, seek some support so that I can do things differently? Just putting that out there, just like I'm also throwing out there, and yes, it's happening. Today begins the productivity boot camp that's happening with the procrastination coach, Dr. Christine Lee. She is pretty amazing lady, and I appreciate her work in the field as like a therapist, as a coach. And if you all haven't seen, like, totally check on any of the links in my bio. There's a thing to sign up. It's free. It is intensive. So like, don't play yourself and decide like, oh, I'm just going to jump in here real quick, hence procrastinating. And I'm just totally going to be great. I'm just going to like beast it all out, perfectionism, and then find yourself in a cycle of going through like, oh, I missed this. I didn't get that. Give yourself grace and space to just sign up. Again, it's free. Sign up, get the information, see what it could look like for you to experience a change or a shift and being productive versus procrastinating and not getting so stuck in perfectionism that you become paralyzed. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I'm going to keep checking out this lovely mushroom tea. It's actually pretty good. As usual, if there aren't any questions, thoughts, concerns, or suggestions you guys would like in the upcoming months, I believe next week we may need to cancel, and this is just info. This is just talking to you all. This shouldn't be on the actual podcast live later, but or the recording, except for on IG because I don't know how to edit and cut it off. But next week we may not be doing our Tea Talks, one, because I should be traveling, and two, because I will be engaged in an intensive mastermind. And yes, obviously I go to them a lot. And you know why? Because I like being able to have more info and insight on how to do the things that I'm doing in a way that's going to be supportive to me, that I can bring back and have it be supportive to you all. And then the week after, just because I'm sure everyone wants to know, the week after will be my birthday week. So there will be some special announcements and things to look out for and stuff that I've totally been working on in the background, not for perfectionism. And the procrastination has been cut down a little bit, but some pretty awesome things that I will be sharing and releasing that whole week. Some of you are already familiar that there will be a summit that is taking place in May. Save the date. I believe it's like 5/14 through maybe 5/19 or so. And then there's another event, 5/21. You don't want to miss these things. They are going to be monumental and epic. And they are specific just for women. In May, of course. What's happening next month and the things that are going to be released and shared, and for all of you to enjoy and take from it what you want and need. I'll be dropping those things the week of my birthday. I'm accepting all expressions of love, gifts, sharing, caring, like maybe even possibly do a day where I would totally love for you all just to share things that have been helpful to you or impactful, funny. Like, who wouldn't want to know how you've impacted other people's lives? And maybe this can be a thing that all of you can embrace for your celebrations or birthdays or anniversaries of things. Like, check out different ways, good morning, that people can show up and just share with you what their experience of you has been like in a way that allows you to kind of reclaim your own greatness for the day and really look at how you're kind of an awesome person. Also, we'll be having some guest speakers next month. I see one person I'm totally going to be asking to jump on there. And if they think they are not, they absolutely will be. And we will be probably sharing about relationships and what those can look like. Maybe some other things coming from the heart, taking in like a whole yoga perspective of how you can do life on purpose intentionally and still show up in the best version of you in the midst of it. Not the perfect version, just the best version, and not procrastinating to be what you have available today, but just giving yourself a little permission and grace. So unless anybody's got some more questions leading to maybe their cycle of procrastination and perfectionism and when you're willing to stop it, I'm hoping that you all have an amazing day. And if you didn't get to jump on and catch it, that you totally go back and listen later because gems were dropped. Like, it happened. We are not going to be out here procrastinating forever. That free boot camp is totally still happening this week. It starts today. The link is in the bio. And I look forward to seeing you all maybe this Thursday. Not quite sure. We'll see how it goes. But I hope you all have a great day. And thank you all for joining on with me today. See y'all later.